Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Carson. Hi, friends. Welcome in. Lots of people are joining us. Welcome, welcome. Tommy is writing and Mateo, hey.
All right. Can you hear me?
Hey, hey. Hi, Jaguar Jane.
Hi, Morgan.
Whoa. Well, lots of friends are already starting to join us. Right now,
I can see that. Very cool.
6 families. So we're just going to wait a few minutes until like all the friends, log on and
Excited.
get situated. Cool. Oh my gosh. I see you already have a buddy.
I do. I have Sunny.
Change our login.
He's just checking it.
They'd have to go into the meeting.
Hold on one second. Mute. Hold on. Jaguar Jane, we can't hear you yet. Well, give me just 1 second so I can go over the rules with all the friends.
Huh.
Well,
put it on my end.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Okay, now we can hear you and see you.
Now you can hear me. Excellent.
Okay,
but can you hear Sunny D? I'm kidding. He's not making sense.
Okay. So we've got 60 families logging in right now.
Whoa.
So we're going to wait because I'm sure a few more friends will join us. I see Alexa. Who else do I see here?
Very cool.
And Milo. Cooper. Hold on. I'm going to say hi and unmute her. Hey, Cooper.
Hello.
I unmuted you.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
Are you excited for the animal show?
Yes. No. Maybe.
It's gonna be so cool. Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Wait a minute. Okay.
I'm gonna do that.
No.
I can get a thumbs up.
Okay, so as the friends start to join us, wow, Jaguar Jane, we have 68 families so far. So as the friends start to join us,
amazing.
We are going to give like a couple of rules and go over logistics real quick. So, hi everybody. My name is Morgan. It says Ashley on there, but she and I are like best friends, and she owns Art Camp and runs Art Camp, but I also help. So, first and foremost, on the top right corner of your Zoom screen, there is a speaker view and a gallery view. So the gallery view means you can see all the friends in tiny little boxes, all right? But the speaker view, if you hit speaker view, that means that you can see Jaguar Jane and her amazing friends or whoever's talking giant in the middle of the screen. So I like to keep it on speaker view so that I can see what she's doing and hear what she's talking about and learn about the animal. So once you get on speaker view and she's giant in the middle, give me a thumbs up. Show me that you're ready. Okay, got some thumbs up. Fantastic. Also, everybody right now except for Jaguar Jane and myself are muted. Now that's because we don't want to interrupt her when she's teaching us about the animal and she's showing us all the things. Now I know I get really excited when I'm learning. And when I get really excited, I like to ask a lot of questions. Raise your hand out there if you also like to ask questions and learn more. Totally. Okay. So If you have a question and you want to ask something about the animal, you can type it in the chat box. I'm going to type it in the chat box here. And a chat box should have popped up on the right side of your screen. If you need to find it, the chat box is at the bottom. You can just click on chat. Now, Jaguar Jane knows a lot about animals, and she's going to teach us a lot. So when she's talking and you're thinking about your questions and you're eager and you're excited, she might answer your questions before you even ask them. So if you want to type them in the chat box, go for it. But I'm not going to interrupt her until she's done sharing about the animal. Got it? Thumbs up if you got it. Wow, Jaguar Jane, 82 families.
Amazing. I'm so excited to see you all.
Me too. Me too. Okay. So let me see here. Okay. I mean, I think it's probably time to get started. So again, my name is Morgan, and I want to introduce you to one of my very best friends who works for Reptacular Ranch. Reptacular Ranch is so cool. They have lots and lots of animals. And that is where Jaguar Jane is sitting right now. She's actually at the ranch with the animals. Now, just like all of us are at home, right? The animals also needed to stay at their ranch and at home. So because they're kind of in the middle of the wilderness at the ranch, their internet is not great, but that's okay. We'll be able to hear everything she has to say. So we didn't want to disrupt the animals, and we wanted to leave them in their environment. So that's where she is right now, and she's going to teach us and show us about the animals. So if you guys are ready, give me a thumbs up. Fantastic. Well, without further ado, I want to introduce you to one of my best friends, Jaguar Jane. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to see you all today. And this is Sunny D, the Burmese python. And he's not even fully grown yet. I don't even know if I can put his whole body on the screen because he's so big and still growing. So my friends, Burmese pythons usually look a little bit different than Sunny D. And they're found in Southeast Asia. They're found in countries like India and China and Vietnam and Indonesia. But like many animals, Burmese pythons use camouflage in their natural habitat. But does Sunny D look like he has good camouflage? I don't think so. He's bright yellow and he stands out. So his wild relatives have colors like brown and green and gray and black, and that helps them blend in to their rainforest habitat. But Sunny D is a pet, and sometimes pets look different from their relatives in the wild. So many people might call Sunny D an albino Burmese python. An albino typically means that an animal doesn't have any pigment or color. So melanin is the pigment that makes our hair dark, gives our skin color, things like that. And Sunny D doesn't have any melanin. But since he's a reptile, he has other types of pigments too. So instead of being all white, he's really just missing the dark colors. And the yellow is what we see. So to be a little bit more accurate, you could say that he's an amelanistic Burmese python, meaning he doesn't have melanin. I think he's pretty cute too. What do you guys think? Can you see his little face? I want you to get a good look at his face, okay? Because there's something interesting there. Something that gives him almost like a superpower if he were outside in the wild hunting. So there's his tongue. He uses that to sense, and you might be able to see his nostrils on top of his head. But I see some other holes around his mouth too. Put your thumb up if you can see those holes around his face. They're not circular shaped, but they are like little holes. Looks like he has a lot of nostrils. But those are actually something else. Those are heat sensing pits. And so in the wild, Burmese pythons are mostly nocturnal. And since they only eat meat, they have to hunt for their food out there in the rainforest. And you know what? They're not very fast. And even though their eyesight's pretty good, it's hard to see at night. So they're not only going to use their tongue to pick up scents, but they're also going to use those heat sensing pits to help locate warm-blooded prey. So he can actually make a picture in his brain of his surroundings, and the things that are warm are going to show up. Isn't that cool? He basically has heat vision.
That's so cool.
We don't have that. We have to use a machine to have heat vision. Oh, look at his tongue go. I think he's pretty curious about what's on the screen here.
Jaguar Jane, everyone thinks he's so...
I think he's giving out snake kisses.
Hey, Jaguar Jane, we want to know what Sunny D...
So, do we have any questions?
Yeah.
What was that?
We want to know what Sunny D likes to eat.
What he likes to eat? Well, he likes to eat very different things from what you and I like to eat. For one, he's a carnivore, and he's a strict carnivore. That means he can only eat meat. And many humans eat meat too, but we usually buy it from the store and cook it, right? Well, he doesn't eat pieces of meat, and he certainly doesn't cook it. He needs to eat whole animals only. Yeah. Now, since he is a pet, we're not going to make him go on hunt for himself, because that could be dangerous and difficult. And we want to take really good care of him since he is our pet and our animal ambassador. So we give him rodents that are already prepared for him to eat, meaning he doesn't have to hunt them. We just drop them in and monitor him as he grabs it and begins to swallow it. So yeah, he eats rodents, and he only has to eat like once every 2 weeks. That's all he needs.
Hey, Jaguar Jane.
Pretty cool, huh?
Hey, Jaguar Jane.
Yes.
Does he chew them, or does he swallow them whole?
That's a great question. So the reason he only eats whole animals is because he does swallow them whole. He won't eat little pieces of things. And he can't eat things that are too big because he can't take bites and like tear pieces of the food off like we can. So you could eat something bigger than your mouth, right? You take bites, but he can only eat things that he can swallow whole. Here's the thing though, he can swallow things that are bigger than his own head. So imagine if you tried to swallow a watermelon whole. Could you do it? No way. I don't even think I could swallow a piece of watermelon whole. But try opening your mouth as wide as you can. Try it with me. I mean, we're doing a pretty good job, but if you think of the size of your head compared to how wide your mouth can open, it's not very wide. But look at the way Sunny D's head is shaped. And you see his mouth, like the line of his mouth, it goes all the way around the side. So he opens his mouth like this, meaning his mouth opens wider than his head. And his jawbone, it's not fused in the middle. There's a ligament, kind of like a piece of elastic, and he can separate his jawbones, and his skin is really stretchy. So basically his mouth becomes gigantic, big enough to swallow something as large as a rabbit. Yeah. So even though his head isn't that big, he can swallow things much larger than his head. And then his teeth, what they do instead of chewing is they help him catch his food, and then his teeth help him swallow because his teeth point backwards in his mouth. So he can kind of take his mouth and work it over the animal's body. But first, he has to constrict his prey. He doesn't have any venom to paralyze it, but he does have sharp teeth.
So,
you guys have any other questions?
So if you friends have questions, you can type them in the chat box, and I will ask Jaguar Jane about Sunny D. We have two questions first. One,
okay,
why do you call him Sunny D? Why is that his name?
So, I don't know if a lot of you remember this drink, but when I was a kid, a long, long, long time ago, one of the most popular drinks for kids was called Sunny Sunny Delight or Sunny D. It's actually not juice, but it kind of looked like it. And it's kind of orange flavored and really delicious. Well, when Sunny D was a baby, he was more orange in color. Burmese pythons usually look orange instead of yellow when they're little. And he looked exactly like the color of the drink, Sunny D. And because the people, you know, at work, we're all around the same age, we thought, you know, we should name him after one of our favorite drinks. And he's sunny colored, and we just thought it was cute. That's why he's called Sunny D.
I remember Sunny D.
Any other questions?
I remember Sunny D. Okay, we have a few more questions. So we have a question that is, what does constrict mean? Why is he a boa constrictor, and what does that mean?
I was hoping somebody would ask that. Excellent, excellent. So it basically means to squeeze and to tighten. Now, many snakes have venom, but many more snakes do not have venom. And imagine trying to swallow your dinner if it was kicking and scratching and biting you. Would that be very fun? No. So since he only eats meat and since he hunts, he needs to make it safe for him to swallow his food. So when he grabs his prey, say it's a big rat, he first has to wrap his body around the animal and squeeze till it falls asleep. And then he can start to swallow it. So constriction is squeezing and tightening. And that's what he can do with his body. But he can't constrict me because I'm stronger than him.
You know, some friends said that they remember that from the Jungle Book.
From the Jungle Book? Yeah. So there's a very large snake in the Jungle Book. And I know they show the snake going after people, but most snakes, even the largest snakes, don't typically go after people. Are there snakes large enough to swallow people? Yes, but it's really, really uncommon for that to happen. They're usually going to go for something else. But there are Burmese pythons that are big enough to swallow things like leopards, like the Indian leopard. That's pretty intense. He's not even nearly as big as Burmese pythons can get. They can grow to be about 20 feet on the bigger end. Most don't quite get that big. And there have even been some that reach 200 pounds. I don't think any of ours will get quite that big, though. He's already longer than I am tall.
We want to know, does he have venom?
So he does not have venom. And that's why he needs to use constriction. If he had venom, that would paralyze his dinner before he started to swallow it. So things like rattlesnakes have venom. And people think of venomous snakes using that venom to defend themselves, but one of the primary purposes of their venom is actually to catch their dinner or breakfast, whenever they decide to eat, whenever they can catch something. So no, he does not have venom, but he does have sharp teeth. He keeps them inside his mouth, though.
Where does he live?
So this particular snake doesn't live here in Jungle Jen's office. He actually lives in our reptile house in his enclosure where he's got lots of space to slither around and a big tub that he can take a bath in and soak when he's getting ready to shed. But his wild relatives, they're found in Southeast Asia. So in parts of India and Indonesia and China and Vietnam, primarily in the rainforest, but they can be found in marshes and savanna-like habitats. And there's actually a lot of Burmese pythons in Florida, even though they're not originally from there. It's because some people released them and they made more. But that's not where they're naturally from.
Okay, one more question. They want to know how
I see someone said, wow!
They want to know how old he is now and how long he typically lives for.
So Sunny D is about 5 years old. And at 5 years old, he's a pretty good size. Some get bigger than this by 5 and some take a little longer to get this big. He'll grow throughout his life. He'll get longer and bigger around. And he could live for 20 to 30 years. Yeah, a long time. 20 to 30 years. Not as long as humans typically live, but pretty long for a reptile. I think that's cool.
We have one more question.
And you guys have any other questions about it?
we've got one more question, and then we want to see some more animals. The last question we're going to ask is, hold on, I just saw a friend that said, can he make babies?
So he's a male and he can't make babies on his own, but if he found a mate and spent some time with her, then she could produce some eggs. And so a mother Burmese python lays her eggs, and she could lay up to 100, which is a lot. For snakes, that's a lot. Probably less than that. And when she lays them, she's gonna pick a spot that seems safe and secure and is a comfortable temperature and humidity. And so for Burmese pythons, they'll actually stay with their eggs. So the mother would stay with the eggs and sit on top of them and coil her body around the eggs. And since reptiles are cold-blooded, that means they don't make their own body heat. She might actually make some heat by moving her body. You can make heat by moving, right? Have you ever moved your body a lot and made heat? So they'll like shiver their muscles, and that can help raise the temperature a little bit to help make those eggs incubate properly. And after a few months, baby snakes will hatch out. But some snakes don't lay eggs. Burmese pythons do though. Yeah. All right, my friends, cool. Do we have any other questions before we meet another animal?
You know what, Jaguar Jane? Some of the friends said that when they came to art camp over the summer, they actually got to spend time with Sunny D.
That is so cool. Yeah, I visited art camp a few times. I wasn't able to be there every day, but I visited a few times to check up on my Reptacular teachers there. And we love to bring Sunny D to art camp because he has a really fun time being in new places, smelling new smells. So you guys are having fun meeting him, and actually it's fun for him too. It's what we call enrichment, when our animals get to see a new place, and snakes really like to smell new things. It's good for their brain. So I'm sure he had a fun time.
So cool.
Are you ready to meet somebody else?
We love meeting Sunny D. Hey, Jaguar Jane, we have 101 families on right now.
Amazing.
So cool. So if anyone else is ready to meet it.
I wish I could see all of you at once, but I can see another.
If you guys are ready to meet the next animal, give me 2 thumbs up. Oh, okay. A lot of friends are ready. We're ready.
He doesn't have thumbs, but if he could, I'm sure he'd put his thumbs up too. All right. I'm going to get him situated in his little travel house here where he can take a little nap if he likes. Give me just a moment.
No problem.
Only one animal can come out at a time.
So cool. This is awesome. I love learning about the animals. I'm having the best time. Anyone else out there having a good time? Me too. Me too.
I'm having a lot of fun too. This is basically my favorite thing to do. Talk about animals and show them to you.
And so, even though we can't be there.
Cool, but even
though we can't all be there together.
So reptiles are cool, but I hear a lot of you like creepy crawly animals.
Go for it.
Okay, there, everyone's back now. I lost you all for a second. So I love creepy crawly animals because, well, I love all animals, but I really like animals that have 8 legs. Can anybody think of an 8-legged animal? You could type it in the chat box.
What is an 8-legged animal? Think about it for a second.
An 8-legged animal. I see spider. It's not the only 8-legged animal, but it's probably one of the most well-known 8-legged animals. What about an animal that's 8-legged and also has its body covered in what looks like bristly hairs?
Somebody's
I think somebody got it. So friends, if we travel to, let's say, South America, and we look in like the desert scrubland, and if we look close to the ground, maybe perhaps in a burrow, we could find this fuzzy 8-legged critter. I think some of you already know what it is. Give me just a moment while I get her situated.
Some people said maybe an octopus. Some people said maybe a scorpion. Somebody said an arachnid. I can only wait and see.
Okay, just getting her ready. I think she's just waking up. I think I caught her sleeping. My friends, I want you to meet Ursula. Can you see her okay? What does that look like to you all? She's a rose-haired tarantula. Pretty cool, huh? Can you see all those bristly hairs on her body?
Can you bring it a little closer?
So my friends, you might think of spiders as, you might think of spiders as spinning webs. And even though tarantulas have spider silk that they can spin out the end of their abdomen, most tarantulas do not create webs. Instead, they use their spider silk to line their burrow, because that spider silk can make it more secure. They can even make a little door. And so female tarantulas or mother tarantulas can live a really long time, about as long as Sunny D the snake, 20 to 30 years. But the male tarantulas only live about 5 to 8 years. It's a big difference, isn't it? So a female tarantula would spend most of her life close to her burrow, really just coming out to hunt. And the male tarantulas will go around and find the females to find mothers that could have babies. Yeah. And they start out a lot smaller than this. So when tarantulas grow, they have to do something kind of extreme. You know how as you grow, you can't fit into the same clothes? You got to get rid of the small clothes and get bigger clothes, right? Well, imagine if you had to do that with your skin. Wouldn't that be weird? Aren't you all glad that your skin grows with your body? Yeah, because if you were a tarantula, you would have to shed your exoskeleton. The entire outside of her body, everything that you see, that whole outside has to come off when she grows. And then even when she's an adult sometimes too. We call it molting. And when a tarantula gets ready to shed or molt their exoskeleton, they go over on their back because they actually kind of climb out from the top. And this is when those burrows really come in handy, because they'll secure themselves in their burrow so that they're nice and safe and no one can bother them when they're vulnerable. And so they'll climb out of their exoskeleton, the old one, and over the next few days, a new exoskeleton will harden up on their body. And then they're good to go back out into the world. It's pretty crazy, right? I'm really glad we don't have to do that. Imagine if there were human exoskeletons lying everywhere. But we don't have exoskeletons, do we? No. Now, my friends, just like Sunny D the snake, Ursula only eats other animals, but she eats much smaller ones. So she has to hunt for her dinner too. But she can't open her mouth very wide. She can't open it very wide at all. So once she catches her prey, she'll use her fangs to catch it, and then she's got it. She can hold it still. She can paralyze it with her very weak venom. Then she can take her digestive fluid and spit it out onto her food. Yeah. What we have in our stomach, she spits out onto her food, basically. And so then what she'll do is start to liquefy her food, and she kind of sucks it up into her mouth like she's using a straw. It's pretty strange, isn't it? It's kind of like the opposite of how Sunny D eats. He can eat things whole. She has to make things very, very small or liquid to eat them. I think that's pretty neat how different animals are. You guys have any questions about her?
So they want to know if it tickles when she walks on your skin and why she doesn't bite you.
Those are both great questions. So it tickles a little bit, And on the ends of her little feet, she has barbs, kind of like little hooks. And she also has like some stickiness on her feet. A bunch of little things work together on her feet to help her stick to different surfaces. So she's really comfortable on my hands. She feels really secure, and she can climb over different surfaces. So yeah, it tickles a little bit. And then the reason that she's not harming me is, one, rose hair tarantulas are already known for being pretty calm and docile when held. So one, it's part of her being the species that she is. They're known for being a little easier to handle. We've also taken a lot of time to get to know her and handle her gently so that she feels comfortable with us. And so I have to know how to pick her up and read her body language. And when I teach our other animal handlers, I have to show them how to do it and make them practice. And I have to watch them so that I feel comfortable knowing that they can read her body language and pick her up without hurting her, without scaring her. And so another thing about rose hair tarantulas is that even though they have fangs and have weak venom, they don't really use that to protect themselves. They save that for catching their dinner. What they do instead is, first, she could use her body language to tell me she's uncomfortable by putting her front legs up into the air. But she could also take one of her legs and scratch off some special hairs from her abdomen. Her abdomen is kind of like the big part at the back that her legs aren't attached to. These hairs are irritating. So if she scratches these hairs off and they stick on my skin or fling into my face, I would be really uncomfortable. I would not want her to do that. But that's what she might do if she didn't like the way I was holding her. But luckily, I know how to keep her comfortable. I don't recommend holding spiders that you just see around the house or outside, though, because they're probably pretty afraid of you. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, they want to know. They thought it was really cool. A lot of friends thought it was really cool and didn't know that tarantulas also molt. They want to know if they molt multiple times in their life or just once.
That's a great question. So they do molt multiple times. One, they're going to molt when they're growing. So those first few years of life when the tarantula is growing, they're going to molt many times so that they can grow bigger, because their exoskeleton only grows so much. So their insides will be growing. I know it's really hard to imagine, but their insides will be growing. And so they'll shed off the old exoskeleton. And just like you can still grow when you're wearing clothes that are too small, right? And they get too tight. And then it feels really good when you put on clothes that fit, right? So I think that's probably how it feels for her. She gets out of that old exoskeleton, the new one hardens up, and it fits better. And so they'll do that many times as they grow. And then they'll do it maybe like a few times a year once they're fully grown. It's pretty cool.
So cool. Jaguar Jane, it's so cool. We want to know how old Ursula is and if Ursula can have babies.
So if we are correct in believing that she is a female, it's hard to tell for sure, but there's little things about her that I can look at to be like, yeah, she's probably a female. So yes, the females can have babies. Usually they need a male to be close by so they can mate, and then they could lay eggs and have little spiderlings. And Ursula is about, I want to say about 8 years old. And if she was a male, I think she'd be pretty old at that point. So we're almost certain that she's a female. And she actually felt my breath there for a moment. I don't know if you noticed she tensed up. She could feel me talking. So I'm hoping she lives like 12 more years at least. I'd like to see her get to be 20 years old, but we'll see.
So cool.
So my friends, we can't stay for too much longer, but I do have another creepy crawly animal I'd like to show you. One of my favorite animals, and it's one of the smallest ones that we have here at the Reptacular Ranch. Do you want to meet them? I actually have two.
Give me a thumbs up
if
you want to see one more.
They also have a lot of legs. Cool. So my next animal also has a lot of legs, like Ursula the tarantula, but they have a few less legs. And like Ursula, as they grew, since they started out really small, even smaller than they are now, as they grew, they also had to shed their exoskeleton as they got bigger. But they are not covered in hairs like Ursula is. So let me get her back into her little burrow.
A lot of friends right now, Jaguar Jane, are trying to guess what it might be. And some people are guessing maybe an ant.
Yeah.
Some people are guessing, let's see, what else is another guess? Maybe a beetle or a caterpillar or a crab.
Those are excellent questions because those animals are also animals that have a lot of legs, but perhaps a few less than an arachnid. So I am going to introduce you to a six-legged critter, and I actually have two, and I'm going to give you another hint. In the wild, they're found on a big island, an island known for its incredible animals that aren't found anywhere else in the world. Does anybody know this island?
Wait.
It's one of my favorite places.
Ashley just guessed.
It's part of Africa.
Ashley just guessed. She thinks it's a unicorn.
Yeah. Ashley is hilarious. It's not a unicorn, but does anybody know of this big island that's part of Africa full of some really unique animals? Australia's a good guess. That's another island full of unique animals, but this one's a bit smaller than Australia, actually a lot smaller. Oh, I think someone has guessed it. Has anybody ever been to Madagascar? I have, and I saw one of my favorite animals there. It was really, really exciting. I was there just in February, and I was really excited to see an animal that I've worked with for years but had never seen in the wild before. And the one I saw in the wild was actually even bigger than the ones we have here. And yes, they're small compared to the rest of our animals, but compared to other insects, they're actually really big. And I just heard one make a hissing sound. I wonder who that could be. Are you guys ready? They're Madagascar hissing cockroaches.
What?
And I think they're actually kind of cute. I don't know if you can see their little faces underneath their helmets. They do have these sort of helmets that protect their head. And that's usually what you see on the top. And their antennae are going wild. So my friends, they're small compared to the rest of the animals we have here, but they're big for insects, right? And these ones are not even nearly as big as the ones I saw in the wild. I'm not kidding. I saw one that was about this long and this wide. That's huge. And ours could keep growing and get pretty close to that size. Now, friends, I actually have a mommy and a daddy here. Yeah, and I think the mommy is going to have babies kind of soon. I can tell by the way she looks. Actually, can you guys tell which one is the mommy? I wonder, do we think it's this one? Or do we think it's this one? So friends, it's actually the one that's a little bit bigger. The mommies aren't always bigger, but this one is growing babies inside her body right now. And instead of laying eggs, she's keeping the eggs inside of her body to protect them. And when they're ready to hatch, that'll happen inside. And then the babies will be born. But they'll be tiny and white and delicate. And over time, they'll harden up their first exoskeleton. And then as they eat and grow, they're going to have to shed off that exoskeleton or molt that exoskeleton. And after about a year, they should be pretty big. And they can live up to 5 years. A lot of them don't live quite that long, but they usually live at least a few years. I think it's pretty cool. So this one's the daddy. He's the male. You might be able to see he has little horns on top of his little helmet. And so just the males have those horns. They're not really long horns, but you can see them because the males will fight a little bit. They're territorial. They'll fight and they'll hiss at each other. The females have a smoother helmet. They don't hiss quite as much. They'll hiss when they feel like they're in danger, but that's usually about it. The males will hiss kind of at anything. So friends, can you make a hissing sound at home? I wonder how you'd make that sound. Here's how I would do it. And I'm using my mouth, right? But hissing cockroaches do not use their mouth to make hissing sounds because they can't. They're not able to make the sound that way. Instead, they have little holes on their body that insects actually use to breathe since they don't have lungs like we do. But what's unique is that unlike most insects, they're able to push air through those holes so forcefully that it creates a sound. I think that's pretty cool. That's how they actually hiss. So they're kind of hissing with their whole body. I think it's neat. Look at those legs. Friends, do you have any other questions for us today?
Hey, Jaguar Jane, I think my friend Cooper has a question. Hey, Cooper Dodds, I'm gonna unmute you so you can ask your question. Go, Cooper.
How many babies can they make?
That's a great question. So, they could have like 50 babies or more. That's a lot. Yeah. Now, some insects have even more than that, but it really depends. It depends on the size of the mother and a lot of things. It's not always the same amount, but 50 is plenty, I think. 50 babies, and they grow quickly. And they're kind of cute. So my friends, do you think that these hissing cockroaches have an important job? They do. They're part of what makes the soil so rich in the forests of Madagascar because they eat things that are already starting to decompose and rot, and they help break it back down. So they are like little soil makers. Oh, and someone took a dive. He wanted to type on the keyboard. All right, so my friends, I think I can take about one more question.
I've got one more friend, my friend Nye, even though it says Rosie.
Do we have one more again?
We've got one more question. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, Nye, you're unmuted, buddy. Ask your question.
Can the hissing sounds, can they protect them from other predators? Can they use it?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question. So one of the main reasons they hiss is to scare off predators. Now imagine if there's a bunch of hissing cockroaches all together and they sense that a predator is near, and they might be hidden, but they know that something is looking for them. If they all hiss at the same time, that's probably going to scare the predator away. Because what other animals hiss? Snakes. And a lot of the predators may not want to come across a snake. But even if they don't know what it is, the hissing sound can definitely scare predators away. I don't think it always works because animals that specialize in eating hissing cockroaches probably know that that's just the sound they make. But it can be a pretty loud sound and it can definitely protect them. That's for sure.
Great questions, everybody.
All right, my friends. I think the animals have to get back to the rest of their day, have some snacks, maybe take a nap, but this was really, really fun.
We had the best time, Jaguar Jane. Thank you so much for sharing your animals and all your knowledge.
Sure.
I'm going to unmute everyone in a minute so that we can say thank you. But next week, friends, we've got lots of really cool things to do with Art Camp. We've got art on Monday and crafting and magic on Friday. So you can email Ashley, falseness@gmail.com if you want the Zoom link. And also, of course, you got to check out Reptacular Animals. And you can go on reptacularanimals.com and see all the cool things that they're doing. And
so the best place to see our animals is the Instagram. Our current website is not up, which is an older one, so we're not really posting anything there. But I'm using the Reptacular Animals Instagram to put things up almost every day. So we've got some videos that you can watch on our IGTV that have some of the other educators and keepers here from Reptacular showing you some animals, and it's really fun. The videos are short, but they're really, really fun. So definitely check that out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We had the best time. I'm going to unmute all the friends so that we can say thank you to you, Jaguar Jane, and to your animals. All right, here we go. Unmuting everybody. Get ready.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sunny D.
So much, Jaguar Jane. Bye. More.
Banana?
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to unmute Jaguar Jane.
Bye, friends. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was a lot of fun, and keep learning about animals. I think it's really important that we understand them so that we can help protect them and save them. So thanks so much, guys. Bye.
Thank you.